We'll have the next presentation by Maja Bučar from Faculty of Social Sciences, University of Ljubljana. Maja, can you hear us?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you. So please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Greetings to everyone who's still online. Can we go back to the first slide? Just that, I know it's just the title, but I want to explain who the two people who put together this paper or this contribution are. I come from the Faculty of Social Sciences, as it was already said, and my colleague Aleš Lipnik comes from the Institute for Economic Research. Now we can move to the next slide. What we tried to do in our short paper was explain what are the strategic research and innovation partnerships and why we see that they play a role in, or they should play a role in technology or knowledge transfer. We move to the next slide, please. Okay, the strategic innovation and research partnerships is a form of cooperation which was introduced in Slovenia through the Smart Specialization Strategy. As I believe most of you know, Smart Specialization Strategy is a strategic paper or strategic program which the government receiving European structural funds needs to prepare so as to be able to draw these funds for particularly for the support for the research projects, be it at the level of TRL 3 to 6 or 6 to 9. And this is what Slovenia has also done. So we have 9 areas in which Slovenia decided that wants to specialize, and in all these 9 areas, so-called SRIPs got established. The role of SRIPs is to provide a platform for cooperation between industry in a particular field, as well as the public research institutions, be it universities or research institutes. The number of tasks which were there for the SRIPs is quite long. Basically is to establish the partnerships. Second is to prepare so-called action plan, in which areas these partners will be cooperating, what they want to do, and where they see the breakthrough technologies which can be supported by Slovenian science, and at the same time Slovenian business sees that as important and sees that as something that can be exploited commercially and increase their competitive advantage. Along the lines, there's also one of the tasks which they should be occupied with, help with technology and knowledge transfer from the public research institutions to the business partners. SRIPs were established in 2017, and we wanted to see whether this task at all is being addressed by the functioning SRIPs. We took into analysis 2 different types. One which is really industry-based, or where we would say that the front runners or the people who really are influencing the direction in which SRIP is working are from the industry, and the other one which is more of a research-based, where in fact actually the Institute Josef Stefan is the coordinator, is the main coordinator. We asked the coordinators and the heads of the offices of these SRIPs several questions about technology transfer and how active they are in this field. And to our surprise, they both reported that there is no activity whatsoever in the field of technology or knowledge transfer, because none of the members really expressed any need for that. Their explanation was also that the larger enterprises have their own departments who deal with this if they are interested in something from the public research institutes. And on the other hand, the university or the big research institutes like Josef Stefan have their own technology transfer offices, and they deal with the issues there. They also pointed out that the current configuration of SRIPs does not enable them to get engaged in this because they don't have the capability to do so. The SRIPs are currently funded at the level of 1 full-time equivalent, meaning covering the cost of a salary of 1 person, which is usually then co-financed from the member sides So in most SRIPs, we find two people, the senior one and the junior one, leading all the issues, all the information which gets passed through the SRIPs, all the education, trainings, whatnot. So there's really very little room for these two people to deal and have the knowledge also in the field of technology transfer. So the complexity of the issues is quite serious, meaning that you expect something from a particular platform, and at the same time you don't provide the resources to this platform in the amount which would be sufficient for them to really implement this function. So our recommendation at the end, particularly to the policymakers, is that if such a service is expected, then there needs to be a stronger and stable policy support, both to the SRIPs, but in particular also to the technology transfer offices at public research institutions, because they could provide a service not to the big companies, but to the small companies who would be eager to learn about the knowledge and about the technology available at the public research institutes. This will be all from my side.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Now it's time for questions. Okay, so France Podobnik has question.
Yeah.
France, just a moment.
Okay, thank you for this interesting presentation. My question is, although SRIPs are running or already finishing activities, but still, what do you think is the main function of SRIP, and how would you define what separates SRIPs from TT offices, or what is their common role in the supporting environment? Thank you.
Well, SRIPs mainly focused in this first period of their functioning from 2017 to 2019 on establishing connections between the business sector and the public research. And there, in this part, I would believe they were quite successful in generating a number of joint projects, and particularly also in sharing the level or the state of affairs in particular technological area. Of course, the cooperation or the depth of cooperation differs between SRIPs who are very new, who have not worked before, like for example the tourism SRIP or the food SRIP, but you cannot compare them to for example the SRIP mobility, which has long history from the time Slovenia supported clusters. So there are the partners who know each other for a decade or so, and of course they could move right on into specific areas, whereas these new guys just basically started working together and thinking in which areas they could go and what are the needs of the partners. So my assessment is that they play an important role, but of course it's very early to judge them after only 2 years. I think, you know, looking at other instruments, call them whatever, clusters or platforms or whatnot abroad, you see that the real results of any kind of partnership like this come out after 5, even 10 years of steady support. And
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your answer. We will continue with next presentation.